studying law.
Sammie, you are watching Let's Talk Goals with Sammie on LegacyTV Dublin. Hey guys, it's your girl Sammie. Welcome back to yet another episode of Let's Talk Goals with Sammie on LegacyTV. Today I'm interviewing the most inspiring Dr Bisi Adigun. He is a script writer, and I recently attended his book launch for a book that he recently published called And Other Playboy, Home Sweet Home, The Butcher's Babes. This is a book of plays that he's written, and I was very excited and invited him over to the show. So I'm just going to read a bit about him. Mr. Bisi Adigun holds a B.A. Honours in Dramatic Arts from the Abbey University, Ile-Ife, Nigeria. He has an M.A. in Film and TV and a Ph.D. in Drama Studies from the School of Drama, Films and Music, and now the School of Creative Arts in Trinity College, Dublin, where he is currently an adjunct lecturer of African theatre and post-colonial theatre. Mr. Adigun established Arambe Productions, which is Ireland's very first African theatre, in 2003, in which he writes, directs and produces his plays and others. As theatre director, producer and artistic director, Mr. Adigun's products include African Voices, which was done in 2003, The Gods Are Not to Blame in 2004, Once Upon a Time and Not So Long Ago in 2006, The Kings of Kilburn High Road in 2007, Through a Film Dorothy in 2008, Heba Pasta Jero 2009 in Nigeria and Ireland, The Butcher's Babes in 2010, Home Sweet Home 2010 in Nigeria, and The Paddies of Panel Street 2013, and the most recent Death and the King's Horseman in 2017 in Nigeria. Mr. Adigun is also a documentarist and features as a co-presenter for the first 3 series of Mono on RTE's flagship television program on intercultural Ireland from 2000 to 2003. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a mouthful. Help me welcome Mr. Bisi Adigun. I'm so excited for this. Hello sir, how are you? I learned the Nigerian way. Please take a seat. Welcome to Let's Talk Goals with Sammie on LegacyTV.
It's a pleasure being here, Samantha.
I'm very excited. I met you at your book launch, and I was so surprised at your profile. Your profile is amazing. I aspire to be you one day.
Thank you very much.
Not that I'm not really creative in writing scripts, but I think you're gonna be my mentor.
Oh, I'm flattered.
Yeah. So, what inspires you to write plays?
Well, I've always wanted to be a playwright.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Waterford University to do my first degree. To back up a bit, I actually saw my first full-length play at the age of 9.
Wow.
I saw the play called The Gods Are Not to Blame by Olarotimi, directed and narrated by him. And it was that day I decided I was going to become a director, a theatre playwright, a theatre maker. And I've not looked back since.
This was in Nigeria?
Yes, that was in Nigeria, in Ile-Ife actually. I lost my mom when I was about 9.
Oh no.
So I left, I was born in Jos, so I was brought to start living with my aunt in Ife. And it was 1976 that I was taken to see this play.
Yeah.
And that was the day I made up my mind what I wanted to be, a theatre director.
With the time and age of that, Africans are very structured on how you should be in life and what you should do. What made you decide to just write plays?
It's a very good question actually. They didn't want me to study
I can imagine. Yeah.
They wanted me to study law.
Or nursing or medicine.
Law actually, because I wasn't good in science.
Yeah.
So I was an artist. I passed all my art subjects. But what happened was I believe I've been destined to actually become a playwright or a theatre maker. I didn't get in Nigeria, before you get to university, we do what they call JAMB.
Okay.
So I failed my JAMB twice.
Okay.
So because of that, I went to do my A-levels. So fortunately for me, I did my A-levels and I got enough credits to be upgraded. So the plan was for me to get into IFE, studying drama, and then the second year, I'll move to law.
Oh, okay, yes.
But I spent 3 weeks in part 1, and then I was moved to second class. Sorry, I was moved to part 2 drama.
Yeah.
So that was how I escaped studying law.
Yeah.
So I studied dramatic arts. I finished in 1990. I did my service working as a radio presenter in Radio Lagos. And then after that, I worked in a television company called Swift Studios.
Okay.
It was through Swift Studios I traveled to London.
Oh.
And then I was in London from 1993 to 1996.
Well, I wasn't even born.
Oh, now you're making me feel old.
No.
But I'm very serious though. So that was my journey. And then I came to Ireland in 1996. And as soon as I landed in Ireland, I felt this is where I would like to be.
Yeah.
The reason being, I found London very big, very cosmopolitan.
And too fast.
And too fast.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're nobody there. But in Ireland, things were still not that advanced. So I loved it. So that's why I stayed. And I've been here since.
That's really good. You know, it's very interesting how you mentioned it, that you were doing an entry course to study one thing, hoping to jump to the next thing.
Indeed.
Yeah. So what was your parents' take on you staying in that?
They had no option.
Yeah.
Because as I said to you, I spent only 3 weeks in my first year. So if I did not pass my A-levels, I would have been moved to law department in the second year.
Yeah.
So the idea was for me to spend some time in dramatic arts and then move to.
So how long is the year? It's a full year.
It's
and you only did 3 weeks.
Yeah, because what happened was I entered IFE through JAMB.
Okay.
But when I got admitted, I think about 2 or 3 weeks later, my A-level results came out. And I had enough points.
Right.
So I was moved to part 2.
Okay, yeah.
So that was what happened.
Yeah. Oh, it must have been exciting.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I was saying the publisher was my lecturer.
You mentioned that, yeah.
And he was asking me that how was it spending 3 years at IFE. I said I would have loved to spend 4 years because I missed getting 2-1 by 1 point. I think my GP aggregate points came to about 3.4, something like that. Yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned how you moved to London. How long did you stay in London?
I was in London for 3 years.
3 years.
I was there from 1993 to 1996.
Yeah. And it was just too fast for you.
Well,
it wasn't for you.
You remember the song I sang?
Yes.
Omi.
Yeah.
I believe in destiny. I believe that as a playwright, I believe we are all actors. I believe your next move is written.
Yeah.
You're just playing a part. And that is the kind of thing that inspires me. I believe Providence is a fantastic playwright. I think Providence is an amazing director. So I don't listen to Airport. I watch live a lot because for me, the most inspiring thing ever is life, because life itself is a play.
Is this the type of theories that you use your lecturer? So do you use this in your classes as well?
Well, I actually tell my actors that the best lesson in acting is watching people. We call something blocking, right? So when you want to do a play, you read the play, you begin to move the actors. And the way you move the actors is for audience not to understand how they're moving as if it wasn't planned.
Yeah.
Now, that's life. If I say you should walk and get me something there, the way you walk there
because I know
is
you're
acting.
watching.
Yes, but it's acting.
Yeah.
But that's what you want to get on stage. You want to learn from reality to put that reality on stage. So when audience are watching, they believe they're watching reality. So for me, I love life. And I think life is amazing.
So would you say you would teach life experience classes?
Would you repeat that question? Because
would you say your classes are taught through life experiences?
Well, to that extent, because the truth of the matter is there's something we call paradox of acting, right? if I'm acting Odewale in The Gods Are Not to Blame, I'm still busy,
Yeah.
but I'm still Odewale, right? So I'm going to be oscillating between the two. So some of the mannerisms that I have, some of the things that I do, you're going to see them in Odewale.
Yeah.
So some of the things I do will be what I would use to interpret Odewale. So Shakespeare says the world is a stage, all of us are actors, right? I believe very much that's the truth. So for me, I said to my actors that the best lesson ever is to watch the way people observe. Even if you're a playwright, even if you're a director, if you're an actor, you must be a sponge and all the time soak all you can from life.
Yeah, it's funny because I use that theory in life, because as a leader, as a young leader, everywhere I go, I always say that you learn from the person next to you.
Right.
And I take every opportunity that comes my way, I take advantage of it. So I try to learn the most that I can from the person next to me.
I can see that from your participation, because you came early, and I think that's why I'm here actually. As I said to you, one good turn deserves another. So for me,
we have that on camera.
the reason why I'm here is actually to show you my appreciation for what you did, because I've never met you before. I told David I would like somebody to sell the books for me. You were there and you look good. For me, you're a very good African person that I'm proud of. So that's what I'm here.
Thank you so much. Make sure we add that in there. All right, so I want to talk about Trinity College.
Yeah.
You are lecturing there, and how did you change into teaching?
Well, the thing about it is, I think the question is, if you read some of my plays, I say to people that for an African man to achieve what an Irish person would achieve easily, you must walk 10 times.
Yeah.
Right? So when I came to Ireland, I always, I was hearing one of your guests saying she'd like to go back home. We always think we'll go back home. So for me, what do I take back home? Right? If you take $1 million back home, they'll change it for you. Right?
Yeah.
Or if you take your certificate back home, they'll respect you.
Yeah.
Right? So I've always wanted to study. So I did my first, I did a master's in 1997 to 1998 in UCD. But because before I left, I was working television, I thought, okay, for me to go back, I would need 2 masters. So I went back to do my masters in film and television.
In order to go back to Nigeria?
Yeah, so people say, oh, I wish you had a master's in film and television. I said, actually I have.
I actually do, yeah.
You know, so I did my master's in film and television between 2000 and 2003 at DCU, and that was around the time we did mono actually. So that was how I got to meet Professor Singleton, who liked what I wrote. And
then he published your book?
No, he didn't publish it.
Okay.
No, that was actually the man who launched the book.
Oh, okay.
That's my Ph.D. supervisor.
Oh, that was him?
Professor Singleton.
Right, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I started doing my PhD, and when you start doing your PhD, you become an assistant lecturer. So you do seminars, and then when you get your PhD, you're qualified to lecture. So that's how I got to lecture.
It's very interesting how you tend to go back to your lectures, and it's an African thing that, well, I don't know about you, but I think it's more of an African thing to go back to your elders or the one that taught you to do what you do best.
Well, the point is, the more you study, the more you become your lecturer's colleagues. But at the same time, you still give them respect because they've taught you, you know. So, like for instance, I co-teach a course in Trinity College now with the man who supervised my PhD. So, but at the same time, we say in our culture that the fountain that forgets its source will soon dry up.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for us to give them that reverence, to go back to them and tell them you still have a lot of respect for them. And also what they do is because they know you very well, they can endorse you and confirm you because they know that you've gone through the rigors that they've taken you through.
Yeah. So what would you say is your source of support?
Again, we say human beings are my clothing. That is, without you guys, I will feel naked when I eat my lunch.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happens then is, as I said, is a symbiotic relationship. So you saw someone like Brian Fleming, with whom I've been playing drums for a long time. You saw Brian Singleton, who invited me to do some kind of conference in 1997 called Crossing Borders. There was a woman there called Dr. Cathelini, who was my lecturer when I was doing my master's in UCD in 1997. Now we are planning to work together next year to co-direct a play. So what happens is, I said, as you grow older, you become friends with your seniors and you become colleagues.
It's very interesting because while I was at the book launch, I took a snap on Instagram and I uploaded it, and the caption was, you can never achieve a goal in life if you don't support those around you. So the moment the atmosphere that was at the book launch is what inspired me to say that. Would you say that is true, that's how life works, or?
Yes, I think the truth of the matter is, for me, what I like to say to people is, you should do unto others what you want them to do unto you. Like, for instance, as I said, the reason why I'm here, why I wouldn't complain, is because you came to you never met me before, you were told about me, you came and you did the best you could to make my launch book a success. So it behoves upon me to come here and do the best I can. And if everybody can do that, the world will be a better place.
The world will be a better place, certainly. So I just want to ask a bit about their Arambe Productions. That's Ireland's first African theatre company from 2003. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that, please?
Oh, how long have you got? I'll try to make it short. Basically, I came to this country in 1996. Around the time I came, Ireland started to become a little bit diverse. And if a country becomes diverse, it behoves upon the society to try and put on stage, on telly, in newspapers, some diversity. So I was more or less like the only black actor then. So if there was a show in Cork, I'll be called over. If there's a show here, I'll be called over. So, like, once a year, I'll be in a mainstream play. But most of the time, when I finished the play, I always felt spent. I always felt I wasn't happy with the part that I played, because it's always the drag of the society. I've written about it. I said most of the time, the characters come on stage with their chest like this. By the time they go, they disappear. So I thought, for Ireland to be able to represent diversity, itself needs to be diversified. And that was why I started Arambe Productions. And the whole idea was for me to give platform to budding Nigerians, budding Africans who wants to nurture, identify, and showcase their talents. Arambe Productions was the platform. Let me tell you the truth. Some of the guys who I worked with in 2000, I think we started the company in 2003, 2004. Some of them have gone on to become top actors in London. Some like Uche Akujobi, some like Yari Jebefumi, some like Kume Animasham has moved on to start his own company. Not only that, some of them have gone into serious business. And I saw some of them recently, and they said it was working with Arambe that grounded them, that gave them the confidence. Because, as I said, life is about performance. What you're doing now is you're performing. You have to be able to speak properly. You have to be able to say things properly. You have to be able to hold your ground. That's what acting does. That's what acting teaches you. So even if you don't become an actor in the world, you're an actor at your workplace. So, that's Arambe, but I don't have to tell people what I've done. Arambe has been, but I will tell you one very interesting thing. When the company was about to be formed, it was, I did African Voices in 2003. There's a guy called Willie White, who was the director of that place that we were. He used to be the director of the place. We used to work together in RTE. So when he became the director of that place, he called me and said, Bisi, there are lots of things about multiculturalism in Ireland, clothing, food, but the voices, the voice of Africa is a bit, we're not hearing it. So I did something called African Voices. It was the success of that that made them to ask me to do something called, to participate in Fringe Festival in 2003. Which made I suggest the gods are not to blame. So I did the gods are not to blame in 2003 Fringe Festival. When they were going to press, they said, Bisi, what's the name of your company? The first thing that came out of my mouth was Arambe, and that's how Arambe.
What does it mean, please?
It means that I wonders I want to perform if my destiny is not altered.
Oh, wow.
You know, one funny thing, there's a guy called Peter Crowley who wrote about it in the newspaper,
Okay.
and he said,
An Irish newspaper?
yes, of course. He said the name was coined from Arambe and Harambe. I never knew that in South Africa, Harambe means let's work together.
Oh yes, Arambe.
Harambe. So I claimed it.
Yeah,
So
you claimed it. You took rules from my country.
Yes. So Arambe is together as well as let's work together.
Yeah, it's so interesting how, you know, when you're listening to someone like yourself, I'm thinking about my life as well. I was one of the I was the first person, the founding member of the Africa Society in my college in Dublin, and I was the first president there. And my concept was to teach the Irish culture, African cultures.
Okay.
So to teach them diversity, because some people, we call people ignorant.
Yeah.
But simply they're just uneducated about certain things.
Right.
So it's just interesting to hear that, okay, other Africans are having the same mentality, the same mindset. What advice would you give our viewers that want to make a difference in Ireland?
My God.
Yeah. Being African in a foreign country.
What I like to say is, I think when you're in Rome, you behave like the Romans. But I think, for me, what I think is important is integrity. What I mean by integrity is we should learn how to forgo instant gratification for long-term prosperity. So most of the time people want something now.
Now, yes.
Rather than slowly by slowly, inch by inch makes a cinch. Do your thing, be consistent, and I can assure you the reward will come.
Because that's the society and the world that we're living in currently. Instant gratification is the easiest and the quickest, the funnest, you know. That's very interesting. I hope you will have a place soon so I can come and be a main character.
We're working on it.
So you spoke about working in RTE.
Yes.
It says here that you had a series of Mono, the flagship television program on intercultural Ireland from 2000 to 2003. Can you tell us a bit more about that, please?
Well, before I became a lecturer, one thing that when I first came to Ireland, because I worked extensively as a performing artist in London, so one thing when I came over, the first thing I wanted to do was to use performing arts as a way to enlighten them about Africa. One question I ask them, I still ask them all the time, and I get it all the time, is if this is an African, what are you? They always say they're Irish.
Yeah.
So you see, you're comparing the smallest country in West Africa, in West Europe, with the second largest country in the world. Anyway, it was around.
You know how people believe that Africa is a country and not a continent.
Exactly.
Would that be arrogant?
No. It's actually the television.
Yeah.
Because television shows them. Television does show them small Africa. The Ethiopian famine, the war in Angola. So it doesn't show them the diversity and the vastness of the continent. And I think it is for us to do. Okay? To do so. So they were looking for programs to put in their what they call pilot program. So they came to where I was doing a workshop, I think in one school or something like that. And interestingly, one of the associate producers went to DCU. So we got talking. And he listened to me and said, would I like to audition for the presenting job? And I said, yes. So I went. I didn't even know I was going to get it. So I got it. And I did 3 series. I was co-presenting with a woman called Shalini Sinha. Shalini is Indian Canadian. And eventually I got kicked out because I felt as the series progressed, they began to do things that I felt would perpetuate what we were trying to challenge. So that was why you wouldn't see much of the things on.
So it was too structured.
It wasn't too structured. It started very well. It started very well. I'll give you an example. For instance, in the pilot program, there was 2 women in Manjot prison who carried drugs. But when we had the editorial meeting, we decided that if we want to celebrate diversity, we don't have to go to Manjoy.
And show that.
The third series, I was busy with a play. By the time I came back, they had gone to shoot them, they had gone to Manjoy to do this particular woman. And I wasn't happy about that. I don't want to go into details because there are theories behind it. Because television is one of the most powerful medium on earth. And I say to people that when you show a program of 30 minutes, don't assume everybody watches the 30 minutes. Somebody might forget his key and go, oh, what's that black guy doing? Oh, carry drugs. And that's it. That's what stays. And he goes away thinking all they're doing is they're carrying drugs. You know what I mean? So, so because of that, I became too opinionated. And I was kicked out.
So it's very sensitive how the media changes an image of Africans and how it puts us on a different level, or stigma. It labels us on a different level. So we're just going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue the discussion with Dr. Bisi Adigun. Yes, I am currently studying law. Sammie, you are watching Let's Talk Gold with Sammie on LegacyTV Dublin.
LegacyTV Dublin, showcasing the beauty of African culture.
Hi guys, welcome back, and we are here today with Dr. Bisi Adigun, and we are talking about how the media changes the view of African cultures and the way that we get stigmatized and labeled from how we actually are in our countries to how the media wants us to be. So we were talking about how the media shows that starving children in Africa, it shows the kids, the street children that are eating from the dumpsters, but they don't show the empowered business entrepreneurs. They don't show the playwrights and the positive sides of Africa. So Dr. Bisi Adigun was just telling us how his experience was from moving from Africa to the UK and now currently living in Ireland. So do you go back to Africa from time to time?
I do actually. When I finished my doctorate in 2013, I actually went back home to I went back home to work for 2 years as a lecturer. Things have changed. I felt like I was at home among strangers, or like a stranger at home. I've lived in Ireland for 20 years now, so I think I feel I'm Irish.
You're Irish, yeah, but you still keep your culture, your food and everything.
Indeed. And actually when I went back, these days what I do is I go back for summer and I try to do some work in Nigeria.
So will that be voluntary? Or?
No.
Yeah, you still need to eat.
No, on a serious note, I take my work very seriously. I do professional theatre. The last time I was there, I worked on Shorinka's Death and the King's Testament. It was a success. So I hope to go back and do a show once in a year. So straddling between Ireland and Nigeria.
So your book, another Playboy, Home Sweet Home, the Butcher's Babes plays. Tell us more about that.
Well, I set up the company in order to give myself and other Africans living in this country the opportunity to do what they want to do, to represent themselves, to stage plays, to write plays. So I wrote, I think I wrote another Playboy in 2009 for Waterford Youth Arts. I was actually invited to Waterford to work with 25 youths. And I thought I would write a play that would engage them, that would be fun. So I called it a fun adaptation of the Playboy originally written by Sammie. Then in 2017, I revived it with professional actors. And I changed it to an other Playboy. I'm playing on the word other.
Volume 2,
Other, an other Playboy. But Butcher Babes is the one that is close to my heart because Butcher Babes is based on a true story of a Somalian Kenyan guy who was killed in 2005 and butchered. I wrote the play because I felt the guy's voice needed to be heard. Then Home Sweet Home is one that I wrote for Nigerian independence, 50th independence anniversary. It's based on Jimmy Murphy's The Kings of the Claymore High Road. If you recall, Jimmy Murphy was at the launch. So those are the three plays. As I said at the launch, it's one thing to see your play on stage. It is a different feeling entirely. I'm still carrying the book around. It's like a baby. To see your book, to see it printed is magic. And I want to use this opportunity to say a big thank you to my publisher. Actually, I have a copy here. So I have a Playboy. I wrote it in 2009 and then revived it in 2017. Home Sweet Home would be the one I wrote for the Nigerian Independence Day. I saw The Kings of the Claymore High Road by Jim Murphy in 2006 and I loved it immediately. So I did it with African actors. Then in 2010, I said, as an immigrant, the gift I can give Nigerians is the gift of this play called Home Sweet Home. To show them what it means to be an outside insider or inside outsider in a white man's country. So I put that on stage for them. And then The Butcher Babes is based on the true story of a guy called Farah Swalinowo, who was killed by the so-called Irish Scissor Sisters in 2005. I felt we will never, ever, ever know what happened that night the guy was killed. So I said, as a dramatist, my job is not to tell what happened, it's to imagine what happened. So perhaps this might be what happened. So I wrote a play based on the last 12 hours. That, as I said in the play, he has his head on his shoulders and his balls in between his legs. Because they said I won't find his balls and his head.
This is sad.
It's very sad. Yes, it is. That's why I wrote it, because for me, I don't know whether you know in our culture, if somebody dies in a mysterious way, and there's controversy surrounding the death, we believe the guy will not rest in peace until something is done. So for me, that play was a ritual to let the guy go. So
a way of justice.
Now you can go in peace. Somebody has told your story.
That's very deep.
It is. Now I feel very privileged.
Where can the viewers buy this book? Is it sold online?
It is online. The book is published by Universal Books UK. So I think they can Google Universal Books UK. I think it's www.universalbooksuk.com. No, www.universalbooksuk.co.uk.
Are you on any social media?
Yes, I used to have a website called www.arambeproductions.com. At the moment, it's not happening. Then I have www.bisispeaks.com. And then I'm on Facebook.
So they can find you there, inbox you about a book.
I'm sure they find lots of things about me.
So make sure that you get this book. It's a really nice book. I was at the launch and I was just amazed at the work that it was put in. So I guess the main question for tonight is, what is your goal? What drives you? What pushes you to do what you do?
What pushes me to see what I do is I always, I've seen the end result before I start. So when people are wondering what the hell is wrong with him, all I'm just trying to do is to get them to promised land that I've seen. So what drives me is no matter what obstacles you put before me, I know I'm going to use it to climb to the highest place I could get. I coined something recently. I said the ladder of prosperity is made of rungs of adversity. The more the rungs, the higher the prosperity.
So in other words, you learn from your wrongs.
Not wrongs as in W-R-O-G, R-U-N-G. Those steps on ladder is called rungs. So the ladder of prosperity is made of rungs of adversity. So you climb adversity to reach your prosperity.
Wow.
What that means is you need to suffer
To get there.
to get there. For a goal to be useful, it has to undergo the baptism of fire.
Wow. This is deep. You guys don't understand the atmosphere right now. I'm feeling this in my heart, in my chest. You know, I want to get out there, write any goals, and just get to work. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight. It is a great pleasure interviewing you, and I hope that we work together soon in the near future. And yes, guys, go like, share, comment his book. I will hashtag it so that you guys can find it and buy the book. Buy the book. How long do you think it will take someone to read the book?
Well, it's a book of 3 plays. So you can read one of the plays on a bus. They're not very long, you know. But aside from that, there are also essays written by scholars about the work. And when I got one of the essays, I felt like going back to read the play I wrote. Did I write that?
Yeah.
So it's what can I say? I feel very privileged.
Yeah.
I feel privileged.
I can surely say that this is going to be, because when I was growing up, we did Shakespeare a lot in English. This is going to be one of those books that students are going to be aching for and crying to do in class.
I pray.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Dr. Bisi Adigun. It was a pleasure interviewing you. And guys, stay tuned for his work and more of his books. I hope there's a next one coming.
I'm working on it.
Yeah,
so
we can't wait. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And well done.
Thank you.
God bless you.
LegacyTV Dublin, showcasing the beauty of African culture.